Today we'll start with verse number 25, the third chapter. Okay. Oh, let me see. Was that 24 what we did last? Yeah, Krishna telling that if I did not do the duties, that's okay. So now Krishna is telling about it. So he says, as the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path. So uh, we talked about in the last week, right? How when you come to the spiritual life, you are will be observed with a telescope and a microscope. Your good qualities will be looked through a telescope, like they're so far off and insignificant, and our bad qualities will be looked under a microscope to magnify them, right? So, what is that one thing that makes us, what do you call it, unexemplary or a wrong example, right? So, that is lust, actually, right? So we want to enjoy the kingdom of God without God in it. So the desire for to have something is the root cause of all our misery. So lust, when that lust is fulfilled, it goes to greed, and when it's not fulfilled, it goes to anger. So as we talked about, right, that we all are leaders in some sphere of our life. So we have to behave in an exemplary way, right? So now Krishna is giving a way by which we should create trustworthiness among the masses who are still on a bodily platform, a karm kandi platform, right? So what Krishna is telling us here, that as ignorant perform these duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment for the sake of leading people on the right path, right? So uh, we have to be affectionate to them. They're ignorant, yes, but we don't behave in a rude way or in a like we don't behave in an ignorant way because we know what is the right path. They might not know it. So we to say for the sake of leading people on the right path, so we become affectionate towards them, not attached, just affection, right? We don't want to get affected by them, right? Just like a lotus leaf. Krishna talks about this in the fifth chapter. Be like a lotus, live like a lotus. Right? The lotus leaf has a coating of a thick, like an oily coating on its surface, which doesn't let water stick on it. Similarly, a devotee's mind also should be coated with something that doesn't let material desires stick on it. They slide away. Right? So our activities have to be detached, dutiful, and devotional. Those three things. There are three Ds there. Detached, dutiful, and devotional. So when we work in a detached manner, but we still are do our duty, so we be dutiful, our work will result in devotion, and eventually we connect with Krishna. Right? So that's what's being referred here. Right? Uh, Ignorant detox. So yeah, so Krishna is talking about people who are not yet on the spiritual platform. How do people who are on a spiritual platform behave with them? So the difference between a person who's on the on a bodily platform, there is attachment to the results. Whereas for a person might be doing the exact same activity, a spiritual person, but there'll not be any attachment to that. So there's a difference between karma yoga and karma kanda. Right? Uh, when Yudhishthir, when he was given the planet to rule, he established Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead. When Yudhishthir heard that Krishna had left the planet, he also gave up everything. So despite having everything, he gave up. So he was living a detached life. So difference between karma yoga and karma kanda. Karma kanda is binding. Karma yoga is not binding. And so the word here used are sakta, avidvams, and asaktas and vidvams. So sakta means being attached uh, is an ignorant person. And the next one is vidvams, the learned person is asaktas, without attachment. So similar words, but they're opposite. Opposite of sakta is asakta. Opposite of avidvams is vidvams. Intelligent person not attached, ignorant person attached. That's the way Krishna is explaining it. In so Vidvans means intelligent and detached. So enlightened knowledge, he's enlightened person, he's knowledgeable and he's detached. That person is detached. So in the Vedic culture, when we talk, Krishna talks about Gyan Vairagya Shaiva in the seventh chapter, I think, yes. So the concept of Gyan and Vairagya, they come together, right? So Gyan is knowledge, Vairagya is detachment. That's what Krishna is talking about here. So they both come together, right? And what Krishna is talking about here in the here he's saying that they perform their duties with attachment to the result. So what happens to them is it leads them to bondage in the cycle of birth and death. Right? Both of the people are working, the intelligent and the non-intelligent, but the difference lies in the consciousness. Right? So now Arjun can ask this question. So tell me, how can I be detached by fighting? You're asking me to fight. So will I not get attached when I fight? Right? So so Krishna is telling that no, no, you have to fight. You have to still do your duty, but you have to do your duty in a detached way. That's what Krishna is explaining him, right? So you have to come and fight because that's your duty, but you have to do it in a detached way because now I'm giving you that knowledge. Prabhupada was an Uttam Adhikari, topmost level of a devotee. But when to preach, he had to come to the Madhyama level. He had to act like a Madhyama, right? And for an Uttam Adhikari, the one of the most important things for Uttam Adhikari is that he or she believes that he's the lowest of all the living entities. So if have that mentality, how can he preach to others? How can he or she be a teacher? So he has to come to a Madhyama level, right? So he might be doing the activities of a Madhyama, but he's not a Madhyama. So I just want to give you an example of that, right? So uh, yeah, so for sake of leading people, the person acts without attachment. Okay. Then, so as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. So Krishna is giving some very practical way how you can interact with people who are not yet on a level of a spiritual level. You don't ignore, you don't be rude to them. You try to engage them as much as you can, and so that they can elevate at their own pace in bhakti. For example, if a person is new, you cannot. If you ask them to read Bhagavad Gita, they will just fall asleep. No, okay, that's fine. You invite them to the temple; they can help you with cooking. They can help you with some other activities, anything. So yeah, they might not be ready to read the Bhagavad Gita or understand what Krishna is saying, but then they can be engaged in other activities according to their level. But we should not become rude to them and just say, "Oh, you don't want to read Bhagavad Gita, you are a demon," something of that sort. I remember there was once such an episode happened in a temple that in India that there was this lady who was a devotee of Lord Ram, and she went to the temple and she was talking to a local brahmachari there, and she mentioned in that discussion that I'm a devotee of Lord Ram. And the brahmachari left and right, he just started criticizing that lady, saying, don't you know all the Shastras say that Krishna is supreme? Bhagavad Gita says that, Bhagavatam says that. You're going to go to hell if you pray to Lord Ram. Why Lord Ram? Lord Ram is inferior to Krishna. That was a very wrong way of preaching. That's a very, very rude thing to say. And what did that lead to was that lady just stopped coming to the temple for a very long time. And then she met another devotee and she was interacting with that devotee. And one day, while sitting with that other devotee, she just burst open and she started, angrily telling that devotee what had happened, a long time ago in her life and why she'd stopped coming to the temple. So one wrong activity on our part can push people away from the path of bhakti, which will be actually a disservice. So, so that's something Krishna is teaching us here, not to disrupt their minds. So in Prabhupada's life, we get so many examples of how Prabhupada was dealing with people who were coming to see him. When he came to the United States, his followers were drug addicts. Right? So can you imagine that just to come off the effect of the drug, they would come to Mangalarti in the morning. Just they would come all, like drugged. Similarly, when Prabhupada met George Harrison was very popular of the Beatles. He would like literally get truckloads of greetings on his birthday. At one point, he presented his desire to be initiated by Srila Prabhupada. Right? Srila Prabhupada said that, no, I don't want you to get initiated. I don't want you to externally become Hare Krishna. He said, I want you to internally be Hare Krishna, but externally be materialistic, because you can attract more people to bhakti by being what you're doing right now, by being a singer. And I know personally many of Prabhupada's disciples who came to Krishna consciousness just after hearing George Harrison's song, My Sweet Lord. And if you have not heard that, you can go on YouTube and listen to that song. In the background, they're chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra in that song. And that's just one of them. He sang many of such songs where Hare Krishna was popularized. And because of him, many people came to Krishna consciousness. Similarly, there was a tennis player. His name was Peter Burwash. Peter Burwash, he won many titles in the 1970s. And he got to meet Prabhupada one-on-one. And that changed his whole life. Again, Prabhupada didn't ask him to become a devotee. Oh, you leave everything, wear dhoti kurta, and shave your head and come stay in the temple. No. He actually went on to become a huge, highly successful management guru, and he promoted vegetarianism, and he was a very close friend of devotees till he left his body. So Prabhupada had this capacity to engage everybody at whatever point they came. And that capacity starts from appreciation. Prabhupada had this oceanic capacity to appreciate others, which attracted everybody to him. And he was doing it out of genuineness. He was not pretending to be appreciating others. If someone would come with a matchstick, if someone would light a matchstick, Prabhupada would appreciate him as if that person was running the state electricity board, Pepco or DG, something like that. So that was the empowerment that Prabhupada did. Right? Prabhupada once asked one of his disciples, hey, do you know anything about magazines? And the disciple just casually said, yes, Prabhupada, I've read a few of them. Prabhupada said, okay, you're the chief editor of Back to Godhead magazine from tomorrow. Right? So that's the extent of empowerment Prabhupada was giving to his disciples. And we sometimes blast other devotees or people when they're not in sync with what we think is right. And that's called buddhi bhedam. Krishna is saying in here is, where is that? Na buddhi bhedam. The word using that. Disruption of intelligence. So when we act in that way, we are doing buddhi bhedam. We are disrupting intelligence of others by being rude to them, by presenting ourselves superior to them, and by telling them, oh, you are wrong, I am right. Right? So we are not supposed to disturb the mind or intelligence of others. Okay? Janayed, the word janayed here is to give birth. Right? So when you do buddhi bhedam, so na buddhi bhedam janayed. You should not cause buddhi bhedam. Or janayed means you should not give birth or cause disruption of intelligence of others. You should try to work in a way that you could engage them in bhakti, in whatever level they are ready to be involved in. As I gave example of Prabhupada, using devotees according to their talents. Right? By dovetailing, the Prabhupada used that word dovetailing a lot. Dovetailing everyone, and then eventually people will get elevated. So goal is to bring people to Krishna. Those who cannot come directly should be gradually brought. So here Krishna is acknowledging to Arjuna that even though renounce order is higher than householder order, or giving up action is higher, but this will disrupt your mind, Arjuna. I don't want you to do that. So, yes, that's the point that is being made here. Right? So, in essence, engage people according to their inclinations. This is an important principle, and not just as a devotee, as a parent, teacher. We should be determined and enthusiastic to engage people who are around us. People meditating in the Himalayas cannot be examples. People like all of you are the exemplaries in this world. Okay. 327. Yes, Sandeep Prabhu.
Who in the when like in the previous shlok about the detachment, when we say detachment, it's to the fruit of the action, right? But not to like places. I mean, is it also includes like places, things, whatever you're attached to, like uh, or it's only the fruits of the actions?
So is your question that you mean attachment to material things, physical things? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So because I think so far Krishna has been talking about like non-attachment to the fruits of the action, right? Anything you do, you should not be attached to that.
Mhm.
But also, does the detachment also mean other things that you have in your life, like what you possess, right? For example, should one be detached to those? Is it like also included in that?
Give me an example of what things are you referring to,
Like
Prabhu?
I don't know, maybe your family, your house, whatever, right? Your job or uh, any of those stuff, right? That your possess your belongings, positions, basically.
Well, so whether it's your job or your family, if you are expecting results out of that, let's say you have a relationship, your spouse, if you feel that your spouse has to give you something in return, so then you are expecting some fruits. So that is what Krishna is asking you to be detached from. Similarly, your job, yes, your job is taking care of your family. Your job is you're bringing home money. But if you become attached that, oh, yes, I am doing this job and I'm the one bringing the money home, that's what Krishna is asking you to be detached from.
Thank you.
So it's not necessarily the thing by itself, it's what you are using the thing for, and what is the outcome of that use is what we get attached to. Right? I have a table at home on which I have my laptop and I'm reading from. I'm using it hopefully for Krishna's service. But if in my mind I just keep thinking that, I bought this table from my own money, I bought this laptop from my own money, and hey, see how intelligent I am that I can teach others Bhagavad Gita, then the whole purpose is lost. Then all the hard work that's going in, it becomes useless because now I'm getting attached to the fruits of my action. So that's to be avoided. It's not that I cannot buy a table, I cannot have a family, I cannot have a job. It's just the outcome that I am attached to, which is the problem. Okay. And that's what Krishna says in the next verse, actually, what you just brought up. This is a very famous verse. Prakrte kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. Right? So here the word prakriti, Krishna is using the word prakriti. Prakriti is used for material nature. Right? So whatever we are doing in this world is through this material nature, right? That's what even though I'm a soul, I have to work under I have to work under the material desires. Right? So the material elements, so yes, I have desires, but then the material elements, they're not under my control. So what material nature is doing, if I take credit for that, then I'm in ahankar. That's called ahankar. Ahankar thinks I'm the doer, I'm the one who is doing everything, but I'm not. Yes, I am doing. I'm not the whole soul doer. That's the concept that Krishna and Bhagavad Gita tells us, that if you start thinking that I'm the whole soul doer of the activity and the outcomes, we are in illusioned. But the moment we accept that, no, I'm not the doer. Yes, I have some part in it, but then there are many other important parts that are responsible for the outcome of an activity. I give an exam, but whether I clear that exam or not is not in my hand. You Who knows what other things are involved in that? The teacher who's checking my paper might be a strict one. Anything can happen. So that's what Krishna is highlighting here. That the spirit soul is when we are under the influence of false ego, and I start thinking that I'm the doer of activities. So that's something to keep in mind. So here Krishna is telling the thought process of a karm kandi who is just so much on a bodily platform. He or she will always think that, oh, I'm doing it, I'm doing it. That's here. So that's what we have in here is that the difference in these verses 25, 27, 20, they're difference between the attached and detached worker. So this is a verse that is telling us about a attached worker, how he or she will think. Okay. And then now this one is about a person who's detached. One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, O mighty arm, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the differences between the work in devotion and work for fruitive results. Right? So here the word tattva, tattvavit. Tattvavit means somebody who knows who's a knower of the absolute truth. So now absolute truth, it's a pretty broad, broad word or broad phrase, I would say. So let's see what Prabhupada is explaining about the concept of absolute truth. The knower of the absolute truth is convinced of his awkward position in material association. He knows that he is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and that his position should not be in the material creation. He knows his real identity, and he realizes that somehow or the other he's entrapped in material conception of life. Okay. So now this is the meaning of the word absolute truth. One, I see my position as being extremely awkward. I know that this is a place where I'm not supposed to be. And why is that? Because I know I'm part and parcel of Krishna. And my place is not this material world. A person who has understood that is a knower of the absolute truth. So, so in the pure, this is nothing. In the pure state of existence, he is meant to dovetail his activities in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So that is the pure state of a person who knows the absolute truth. So yes, Tattvavit, for he knows also his own factual position in relation to the Supreme. So yes, so knowing who I am, what is my relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and what is my duty. So that's the person who is Tattvavit. Those three aspects are involved in that concept of Tattvavit. Okay, I'll take a pause here and see if anybody has any thoughts, comments, questions.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Um,
Krishna.
I had a question. So I was talking to somebody, and kind of explaining the reason for donation, and their take was that I mean, it's a different thing that they're not a devotee and they don't go to the temple regularly, but then they come back and say that we don't donate because we don't know what's going on with the donations. And so I was at a point where I was like going to say something, but not, I didn't say anything because I know, right, being in Krishna consciousness, that that's not the only way to get attached to the Lord. Just from donation only. There are other things, like you said,
Yeah,
activities you can do at the temple, things you can help, other devotees, and the things like what we do, like book distribution and things like that. But um, it got to a point where no matter what you said to the person, they were just negating everything. So, I
yeah,
just kind of like, okay, just leave it alone, So it's very hard sometimes to not convince, but even get your message across, even if it's like um, you're not arguing with them or anything, but they have their mindset on things. So how do
yeah.
you convince someone like that?
Well, okay. For Madhyam Adhikaris, people who are not yet on a very high level of purification, one, there is a uh, suggestion given to us in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll just quickly read that to you. It comes in the 11th canto, second chapter, verse number 47, 11 to 47, I think. Uh, Wait, just give me a second. I'll pull that up. I'll show you what I'm referring to. Forty-six, 11 to 46. Okay, let me share this. So this verse tells us, this is the Navayogendra speaking to King Nimi. An intermediate or second-class devotee called Madhyamadikari offers his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord, shows mercy to ignorant people who are innocent, and disregards those who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This last statement is very important for all of us because we are not at that pure level yet. If we find people who are presenting that negativity, that, as you're saying, that person was negating everything you were saying, so you have to just ignore them, disregard them. You don't have to necessarily engage more with them.
Right.
You feel free to make distance from them. You don't have to convince them for anything. You don't have to even invite them to the temple. Feel free to be away from them. Because if you try to keep pushing them, then eventually that might actually lead them to get
Wrong
further
things. Yeah.
get further pushed away. And you never know, they might go ahead and tell 5 more people that, hey, these ISKCON guys, they come and they push you this way. Right? So yes, this is a very good statement for all of us.
Yeah, and that's what I did. I said, yeah, okay, my whole thing was that, you don't have to give financial,
Yeah.
contribution. You could contribute other ways. And so I just left it there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you feel free to leave such people. I
Uh-huh.
meet many such people on book distribution. And by Krishna mercy, I've been doing it for a few years. I can very quickly judge whether this person is genuinely just ignorant and he wants to know more, or is this person just envious and wants to pull me down and show me that I'm a fool. I'm able to judge it, and I just move away from that person immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, so feel free to do that.
Yeah. Thank you,
Yes,
Prabhu.
yeah. We cannot force it on anyone. Okay. Anything from anyone else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I was thinking about your example of the one that you gave about was it like the Ramakrishna thing. The Mataji was a devotee of Ram.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think to I guess it's also an offense to kind of like shoot others' consciousness down from where they are. Is that also part of like himsa, like no meeting, expansion on that, like not killing the body, but killing the consciousness of another person or another soul?
Well, in one, the person was not necessarily killing that other person's consciousness. What he was doing was he was just trying to present the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita more strongly to that person. So I wouldn't equate it to that level of killing this consciousness, because that is specifically used, that concept of killing the soul is used for, or killing the consciousness is used for people who are not in a spiritual mindset. Like, for example, when you read what's that? It's the Ishopanishad, for example. I'll quickly show you that verse. There's a phrase, Atmaha, that's used right in the beginning of one of the verses. And that specifically is talking about, where's that? Yeah,
Or
this one. Yeah.
basically, like not just killing the conscious, but like bringing the consciousness down from where they are, or basically not
Yeah. Yeah.
not making them advance, but like not even not
Yes,
help.
yeah. That's the point. Yes, that's what they were doing. That's why Prabhupada would very clearly tell everybody that, when you give a book, it's okay. But if they take the book, they read it at home, that's fine. But if you start preaching them and you say something wrong, then you have actually pushed them away from the path. So yes, that's an offense actually. That's a wrong thing to do. But I'm not sure if it is at that same level as you're saying of killing the consciousness. So I'm not sure of that.
Mm. Okay.
But yes, there is also a concept where one of the offenses is that we should not No, not that one. That's a different one. Of instructing a faithless person. That's a different one. Sorry, I was comparing two wrong things. But yeah, no, I wouldn't consider it that extreme. But surely it is bringing you some negative karma for sure to the person who was instructing that lady in that wrong way.
Like they say, right? Bringing the consciousness down in any way, like, in terms of body, mind, or actions,
Hmm.
person. So, basically, not saying things that are bringing the consciousness down of another person, or doing activities that basically make the other person feel like, they
Yeah, feel
like that.
like they're not welcome or they're not good enough. So
Yeah.
that is an offense. Yes, and it's across shastras. This is a very quite a pervasive thought process. When in the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a story of Dhruv Maharaj and Dhruv Maharaj's stepmother, Suruchi. She criticizes Dhruv Maharaj. Like, Dhruv Maharaj is just a 5-year-old kid, right? So she's a stepmother. So she just got angry. You cannot sit on your father's lap. You have to be born from my womb to sit on your father's lap. And then she said a few more things, and Dhruv Maharaj was angry. And then what happens is that Dhruv Maharaj goes to the forest to meditate, and there he meets Narad Muni, and then he meets the incarnation of Lord Vishnu, Krishna Garbha, and he's told the future, what's going to happen in the future. So, or what has already happened while he's been meditating here. So he's told that his stepmother, Suruchi, and his son, who was Uttanapad had died. There was some altercation with some people, and he was killed. And his mother Suruchi got mad after that, and she ran into the forest, and she was burned in the forest fire. And Prabhupada, in that purport, it comes in the fourth canto, 22nd chapter, if I remember. So this is so Prabhupada very clearly says that even though Suruchi didn't know who this person was, Dhruv Maharaj was. He was just a child at that moment. She had to go through so much of repercussions because of that. Her son died, she got crazy, and she was burnt in a forest fire. So Prabhupada said, you cannot criticize advanced devotees for sure. It's a Hati Matta offense, a mad elephant offense. It will just completely uproot your whole bhakti garden, just make it a barren land. But then, even for anybody else, you should not criticize them. You should not offend them. It's a strict no. So yes, it's a very pervasive thought process from Shastras.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So Prabhuji, one thing I couldn't understand about that Prabhuji is saying to the Mataji that, in reference to Ram Bhagwan. Ram Bhagwan was, Ram Bhagwan is Krishna's avatar, right? So why even say that? I don't, that's just like,
Well, some people become, like over passionate about services also. Yeah, I don't know if you have come across such people. I've come across
yeah.
many such. They become too passionate, too attached to the service. I've met people who go for book distribution, and they knock again. I know these devotees. They knocked the door. Somebody opened the door and very humbly said, okay, I don't want a book. That person very humble. It was in India. Okay, that person, those devotees, they didn't let him close the door. They just kept saying, at least touch the book, or at least give us a pen, a rupee or something. And they just kept pestering him. So that's not what Prabhupada taught us. So yeah, sometimes people get over passionate about their services, which can hurt the movement. So we all should see ourselves as foot soldiers and representatives of Prabhupada. If I do something wrong, the blame goes on Prabhupada. And Prabhupada has always said that, nobody from outside is going to break my organization. People from within are going to do such stupid things that it will eventually break open. And it's not going to happen anytime soon. But I'm saying that if it ever happens, that's what's going to happen. That's what Prabhupada said. So we all have to be very introspective. What am I doing? As I gave you the example of telescope and microscope, I should look at my own faults through a microscope and others' faults through a telescope. So minimize them, and ours I should magnify, right? Become a so yeah, just a thought there. Yes, Sandeep.
Prabhuji, in the current shloka, and actually even prior to that, one thing is like, is it still right that Krishna is talking not yet in terms of devotional service here, right? Because what he says is that guna gunesha vartante, right? I mean, still like the guna are actually making you do things. So, for example, if I'm a kshatriya, right, my guna is to fight,
Mhm.
and regardless of if I want to fight or not, I'll be forced to fight because I'm a kshatriya. It's just that I have no kind of free will there. It's just my nature. Or I'm a labor class, right? Maybe I'm a technical person. I always think in terms of technology for anything, right? I can't think in any other way, and I'm gonna act in that way. So, is it fair to say, Prabhuji, that at least until this shloka 28, Krishna has not yet talked about devotional service? Obviously, like the way this, is going to get into devotional service, but not yet, right?
So
Only
yes,
thing
so
is,
we are still in the karma yoga section. As I gave an overview, right? So the first chapter is the problem statement. Second chapter is an overview of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna talks about bhakti, karma, dhyana, jnana, everything. From third, fourth, fifth, these three chapters are karma yoga. The sixth chapter is dhyana yoga, meditation. And then from 7 to 12 is bhakti. And then 13 to 17 is jnana yoga, knowledge, intellectual. And then the last chapter again is a summary. So yes, you're right. Krishna has not yet brought out the concept of, like, he's not talking about bhakti specifically in these verses. However, I think I pointed this out when I was giving the overview of the first six chapters. Krishna talks of bhakti in every single chapter. He brings out a verse or two that will point to bhakti. He's not fully bringing it out, but he's not also fully leaving it out of the picture yet in any of the chapters. So, but yeah, at least in this section, he's not talking about. Yes.
right, Prabhuji, because the translation of this, the 28th especially says that work done in devotion, but the word devotion is not actually yet talked about, right? So, that's why my
Mhm.
confusion was.
One who is in absolute one mind does not engage in sin, knowing all terms of work in devotion and work for fruitive activities. Yes. So work in devotion here, what work in devotion means is when you are not being attached to the work, fruitive results. That's what the work in devotion is. So you're not being attached to the work, fruit and you're offering it to Krishna. That's the concept that Krishna Prabhupada is bringing out here. Yeah. Is that what you were saying? I'm not sure. Did I get you right?
So, yeah, because I mean, to me, like he's saying that uh, you will be forced to act according to your nature, but he has not yet said like you have to work in kind of devotional service at any work you do. So I guess my only thing I'm not able to understand is that it says difference between work in devotion and work for fruitive results. So this
Mhm.
translation, right, the work done in devotion, work for fruitive results. So I get like work for fruitive result is something that you get forced on, right, by your nature, by your your kshatriya or whatever you are. But why is like in the translation it says work in devotion here, you know that, right? It should probably devotion is not the right word here. It should be
Yeah.
more. Hmm?
So, so the core contrast here is fruitive work and non-attached action, right? So rooted in knowledge.
Right, right.
So because I get your question. So the word devotion appears in English, but Krishna has not yet introduced Bhakti Yoga as an
Correct.
independent path. That's how you're using it. Okay.
Correct, Praji.
So here in this chapter, when Prabhupada is using the word devotion, it does not mean the kind of devotion you and I are aware of using that word for. Chanting, hearing, prema bhakti, raganuga bhakti. Here, devotion Prabhupada is using with the thought of action offered in knowledge without proprietorship or a desire for personal enjoyment. That's the devotion that Prabhupada is referring to here. So, so it's not exactly the so yes, I get your point now. So it's the confusion that the word devotion, when we think of it, it means bhakti. But when what the way Prabhupada is using it here is more of action offered in knowledge without proprietorship or a desire of personal enjoyment. So now you can think of it. Why is Prabhupada using the word devotion? So what Prabhupada, and I think I have highlighted this in the past, Prabhupada when Prabhupada presented the Bhagavad Gita, he wanted to have the essence of Bhagavad Gita in every single verse so that when people, even if they read one page of it, they can pick up the whole essence of Bhagavad Gita. Right? So Prabhupada is teaching with the end in mind. So Karma Yoga, Prabhupada knows that Karma Yoga only becomes stable when it is connected to the Supreme. Right? If the action is just detached, let's say you are doing detached work, it will eventually collapse because yes, you are detached, but then there's nothing else there. Right? So just to keep that in mind, that Krishna is not yet teaching pure devotional service. Yes, you're right. He is teaching how to work without being bound. That's what he's teaching us right now. When Prabhupada uses the word devotion here, it means work done in knowledge, offered, right? It's being offered, not exploited, surrendered, not being enjoyed by ourselves. Right? Bhakti will come later at a mature stage, but the direction is already being set by Prabhupada. That's something to keep in mind. That's the way Prabhupada is putting it there.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much, because that's what my confusion is. Everything makes sense totally, except this bhakti yet, because
Yeah. So
Krishna is
yeah,
still not revealed that to Arjuna.
yeah, he's not revealed that. Yeah, so that's why. So see, what Prabhupada is doing, and just to once again say, Prabhupada is not imposing bhakti on anybody. He's not like, oh no, only think of bhakti. No, Prabhupada is revealing the trajectory of Bhagavad Gita as it's moving forward. Karma Yoga without attachment, logically, oh sorry, yes, Karma Yoga when done without attachment would eventually culminate in devotion, in bhakti, right? That is what Prabhupada is putting forth, that anything you do, if you do it with the right mindset, you will eventually come to bhakti. That will so all the people who are sincerely doing jnana yoga or dhyana yoga or karma yoga, if they do it with the right mindset, with the mindset of surrender, of not exploiting, then they will eventually reach the bhakti platform. So here, when you read the word devotion, here keep it in mind, it's an action offered in knowledge. Let's just keep it that way. Proper bhakti will come in later chapters.
So, Prabhu, one more question. But if somebody was not in bhakti, right? Let's say they are like one of those, uh, impersonalists, right? Which Krishna says, right, not a right path. Wouldn't they interpret it as something like, no, it's not written according to devotion standpoint. It should not be according to devotion standpoint. No, it is from a non-devotion standpoint. Couldn't that be a case from their standard, interpretation on? Uh,
For so you're saying would impersonalists
yeah,
uh,
people who are like in that, yeah. So wouldn't they interpret this translation as not factual at this point of time, right? Because if if they want to view it as a Gita from an impersonalist angle, right, they would say, hey, Krishna doesn't mean it this way yet.
hmm. Yeah, they can. Yes, they can. Many people came to Prabhupada and said, "Oh, you put Krishna even when there is no. So you put bhakti when there is no bhakti in the verse." And Prabhupada would retort by saying that, yeah, because you all remove bhakti where there is bhakti. You remove Krishna out of the picture. You are, and personalists, what do they say? Uh, personalists would say, oh no, there is not Krishna. There is somebody beyond Krishna we have to pay obeisances to, right? So, so they, so their conclusion can be of, that we don't need a personal supreme God, right? So, so they can. The people can interpret Bhagavad Gita whichever they may want to. But what we have to understand is that Prabhupada is giving us the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Because Krishna himself at the end, what does he say? Right? If the whole Bhagavad Gita spoke, he says, Sar dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. So bhakti is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. We cannot deny that fact, right? So, so yes, an impersonalist might object to that the word devotion here, because you can say, oh, the word does not, there's no mention of bhakti here. Yeah, the objection is fine, but Prabhupada is translating from the standpoint of Gita's full arc, where karma purified of attachment ultimately will become service to the Supreme Person. So yes, I'm not saying, yeah, but then you have to understand impersonalists, whoever reads Bhagavad Gita in whichever way, they can misinterpret it. I have read Bhagavad Gita versions where people say Krishna was a war guru. Somebody say that he was a like a business guru, or he was a politician, a diplomat. People can interpret whatever they want. But what Prabhupada is giving us, he's giving us what Bhagavad Gita is eventually meant to be, as it is. If an impersonalist say that Krishna does not have a form, so that's completely off. That's a wrong interpretation of Bhagavad Gita. What Prabhupada is giving us, that bhakti is the essence of Bhagavad Gita, and he's presenting that in every possible way. That's the true essence of Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, because I just met someone over the weekend, and I had given them this Bhagavad Gita, and that's something they brought up actually, and I didn't know how to answer that question because obviously I didn't know that. So I think that's a very well way to put it, right? People can essentially what you're saying is people can interpret it the way they want it, but that's not the right way to understand it, right? That's
Yeah.
the gist of that.
And because it's not like, see, Krishna, the essence of Bhagavad Gita is Krishna himself is giving. Sarvadharman parityaja mamekam shranam vraja. And then Krishna is saying, Man mana bhava mad bhakto mad yajinam mam namashkuru. He's saying, become my devotee. Krishna is clearly saying that in Bhagavad Gita. How can impersonalists say that Krishna is not focusing on bhakti? So, and again, Krishna himself in the 12th chapter, 5th verse, he'll say, Klesho adhiktarastesham avyakta sakta chetasham. People who follow the path of impersonalism is practically impossible for living entities. So, Krishna, and I understand your point. You met somebody. That is why I stress, I request, I sometimes even push all of you to read the Bhagavad Gita as thoroughly as you can. Read it every day. If you don't read it, you will keep finding people who will keep confusing us. No, no, Bhagavad Gita says this. No, no, Bhagavad Gita says that. Prabhupada is wrong. Somebody will come and say that. They will say whatever they want to. If you are strong, if you have that knowledge, then whatever anybody may say, it won't shake you. That's why I request all of you to read Bhagavad Gita regularly. Right? So, yeah, people can interpret whichever they want to, Prabhu. It's up to them. Some people take the Bhagavad Gita from us, they put a red cloth on it and they put it in their temple room. They think Prabhupada, when he wrote as it is, he meant it literally, that you have to just leave it as it is. No, no. So they think of it that way. So yeah, people can do whatever they like to, Prabhu. Our goal is to understand Bhagavad Gita, to move forward in the path of bhakti and in progress. Okay, so let's come to 29. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior to the performer's lack of knowledge. So, the ignorant fully engaged in material become, but the wise we should not unsettle them. Again, the same thought process Krishna is bringing forth, that don't try to necessarily disturb other people. Right? So here, one Krishna Vin is one who is in factual knowledge. Right? So one who is expert in engaging himself and others in meaningful activities is called Krishna Vin. Right? And others are Akrishna Vin. So we have to see how we can engage others. Obviously, we have to protect ourselves also. We don't want to kind of just flow with what they are thinking. So usually people who are Akrishnavid, they are not aware how modes of nature are captivating them. Wake up whenever they want to, sleep whenever we want to, drink, movie, whatever they want. They don't know how to meaningfully engage themselves. And Prabhupada was once walking in Miami and he saw a golf course. And Prabhupada had come from India. Nobody played golf in India. So he was just asking these people, what are these people doing? So one of his disciples explained to him that Prabhupada, they're playing golf. It's a game. They're all old. They have retired. And Prabhupada's eyes grew moist. He says, people are wasting their time. They spend their whole life running after money, paying their mortgage, bills, etc. And now they have free time to engage in something meaningful. What do? They come and hit a ball around. So that's what Akrishna Vin, people who are deluded by the three modes, right? So that's what is being referred to here. So what do? We don't disturb such people. We don't give them fundamental spirituality. You just don't go and start preaching them. You're not a body, you're a soul. No. You say you engage them in activities that they can slowly be brought to wherever they are, they can be slowly brought to Krishna. So in the earlier days, Prabhupada was invited to a speaking opportunity at a place, It was a community, okay? And so Prabhupada reached there. He saw that, it was a community that was based on the fact that burning banana peels made them high. So whatever smell would come from burning banana peels would make them feel high, just like LSD. So when Prabhupada reached there, he saw that even people were dressed up like bananas. So Prabhupada spoke for a few minutes, but realized that they were not going to understand anything. They were really high on drugs. So Prabhupada asked his disciples to do kirtan. And kirtan went on for a couple of hours, and everybody was ecstatic, right? And when Prabhupada was leaving, he was given a gift of bananas. They gave him lots of bananas, but only on one condition, that you eat the bananas, but you return the peels to us. And the disciples were thinking, oh, that is not appropriate. We should not do it. Prabhupada said, it's okay. We will offer the bananas to the Lord, and then they can take the peels. At least they will get some sukriti. So this is called Krishna Vid. Don't disrupt, but engage. So intelligence is needed for that. We all need intelligence. Prabhupada said on his deathbed that intelligent and organization is needed to be successful in spiritual life. Okay. So next verse. 30. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasadhyatma chetasa nirasir nirmamo bhutva yuddhasva vigata jvara. Now see, Prabhu, as we were just talking, right? So now Krishna has brought surrendering unto him here, right here, again, in bhakti. So he's not yet necessarily talking about devotion, activities, surrender, and all that, but he is bringing out the concept here and there again of surrendering works unto him. So till now we were talking about, oh yeah, whom to surrender, right? Non-attachment. But then once you're not attached, you surrender it to Krishna with full knowledge of me, without desiring for profits, with no claim of proprietorship, and free from lethargy. And Prabhupada says this clearly indicates the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna, even though he's talking about karma yoga, he will bring out the concept of bhakti. He does that in every single chapter. And I can continue to point those out to you as I go, but this is something, what I wanted to show you something. This, right? So yes, purpose of Bhagavad Gita. What is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita? Surrendering all your work unto Krishna. Mai sarvani karmani. Without desire for profit, nirasir. With full knowledge of me, adhyatma chetasa. With no claim of proprietorship, nirmamo bhutva, and free from lethargy. And then you do your duty. So Prabhupada is saying this is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita for all of us. So the Lord instructs that one has to become fully Krishna conscious to discharge duties as if in military discipline. Right? So this is actually a bhakti verse, but it's not karma yoga verse. Resign your work to me. Don't give up your work. Just like when a girl gets married and she goes to her in-laws, the only relationship she has is with her husband. But then she treats all her relatives in her relationship with her husband in mind. Similarly, everything is related to Krishna. This whole world becomes a paraphernalia in Krishna's service if we become adhyatma chetasa, spiritual consciousness. Right. Nirmamo. The word nirmamo is important here. Without sense of ownership. When Prabhupada started, he had 40 rupees. But by the time he left, he must have had worth billions of dollars. But it was not all. It was all in the name of ISKCON. When Prabhupada was about to leave, some of Prabhupada's blood relatives wanted to stake a claim on ISKCON, asking for a share for themselves. Prabhupada flatly refused. Right? So Krishna is asking Arjun, Yuddhasva Vigata Jvara. Fight Arjun and do it as a duty for me. Give up your laziness, Vigata Jvara. And so we all have three basic problems. That because of which we keep postponing spiritual activities. Laziness, enjoying mentality, and pride. These are the three problems we all have. And devotees should always guard against them. If you do good sadhana, that takes care of laziness. If you develop a service attitude, It takes care of the enjoying mentality. And then your pride gets taken into account when you become answerable or accountable to somebody. We always should have somebody who can chastise us. And we have enough faith on that person that we can take that criticism properly. So if you don't have such a person in your life, you should seriously look for such a person that who can not just criticize you, give you guidance, knowledge, and you have enough faith on that person that even if the person is criticizing you, you'll take it positive. So these three things are very important in bhakti, and you have to counter them. Laziness, enjoying mentality, and pride, and you have to counter them. Laziness by good sadhana, service mentality will take care of your enjoying mentality, and pride will be taken care of when you become unaccountable to somebody. Right? And Prabhupada calls it a military discipline. In a military discipline is the phrase Prabhupada uses. In a military discipline, two things are very important: submissiveness, and second is attention. So, military discipline for us means we follow spiritual life with same attention and submissiveness. And if you follow this regimen of having a good sadhana, service attitude, somebody who's accountable, you're accountable to, then, as they say, right, then when Maya attacks us, we will be fortified, we will be strong enough. Right? There's a saying, right? More we sweat in peace, the less we bleed in war. So similarly, the more we have a good sadhana practice, the less will we be taken away by Maya when it attacks us. Sharpen intelligence with knowledge. Keep your consciousness pure and clutter-free. Focus on Krishna's instructions, and everything will be perfect. Yes, Binu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So when you say accountable, you mean like answerable to Guru? Is that what you're referring to?
That's the best thing to be in, yes.
Okay, thank you.
However, it's not like your Guru will be 24/7 in front of you. You can also have some people who are right in front of you who can do that for you. Because let's say if your Guru is traveling, gone for a month, and there is something that's going on in your mind and you want to discuss, and that person is not available. So yes, Guru is the best person, but what I'm trying to say is it's not necessarily that you just have one person whom you're accountable to. You can have multiple of them. Mentors, you should have as many as you can. And those mentors should be in a position that they can correct you, and you and I should be in a position that we can take that correction. So not just one person, it can be more than one also. But yes, Guru is the most important one. So having a Guru is very important.
Prabhu,
Okay.
what did you say about laziness? How can we overcome that?
By good sadhana.
Good sadhana, okay.
Yes. And by good sadhana, I mean a sadhana that is sincere. You have to do it sincerely. Not that, oh, today I don't feel like chanting, so I won't chant today. No. So good sadhana means you are doing it sincerely and you're doing it in a consistent fashion. So that's a good sadhana, at least for the people on our level, as we are the beginners. Okay, so let's move on. 31. Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive actions. So Arjun's basic question was, karma can be binding. Krishna is saying, no, if you do karma yoga, you will not be bounded by the laws of nature. Arjun might think that it's so easy that I just do whatever I like in spiritual consciousness and I won't get any karma. So Krishna is telling of this injunction that follow this with faith and without envy. It's not like whatever you want to do is okay. No, you have to follow this with faith. And what is faith? Krishna is using the word faith, teaching faithfully. So can somebody tell me, can somebody define faith to me? What does faith mean to you?
Faith means trusting, almost where you don't, I guess, have doubts,
Okay.
full trust. Like,
Okay.
I have faith in Krishna that he will take care of everything. So I don't have any doubts about him not taking care of anything, no matter what happens.
Okay. Anybody else? Any thoughts on faith?
Prabhuji might be fully surrendered by his words.
Fully surrendered. Fully surrendered on the instructions that we are getting.
Yes, right, Prabhuji.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a good one. Yes. Anybody else?
Oh, courage is not absence of fear. I think the fear and everything will always be there. But I think acting in spite of fear, in spite of whatever comes, just following Krishna's injunctions, I believe that may be the faith.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Yes. Yeah. So when we have faith on something, or this saying instructions of a guru or Krishna, we have this conviction that it will materialize in the future if I follow the process. So faith means to have that complete conviction that something will materialize in the future if I follow a certain process. And I'm just telling that from a very general perspective. Yes, but scriptures tell us clearly, they give a more refined version of faith. Right? Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kahe Shuddha Nishchay Krishna Bhakti Karile Sarva Karma Krit Hoye. This comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. That when you keep going despite all the challenges you have, and the results are still not visible to you, they're still not coherent to you. But if you still keep doing what you're doing, your bhakti, your chanting, your reading, and everything, that is faith. Yes, we take medicine when it's prescribed to us by a doctor because we see that we have faith on the doctor. We see his degrees, and we might know him or something. So that faith is needed in every walk of life. And having faith doesn't mean you have to have blind faith. No, faith has two qualities to it. One, it is reasonable, and second, it's verifiable. Reasonable means uh, reasonable means when you are like you can reason it, right? Let's say, for example, I go to buy a house. I go and I talk to the builder or the current owner. I talk to the neighbors. I look at the bills, and I get an inspection done. So I reason it thoroughly. It's verifiable means I can also verify it by actually going to the house, right? So I can verify, yes, the house is there, it looks this way, this is it. And I can reason it means I can cross-check other facts around it also. So those are the two qualities that faith has. So when we practice the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, one thing that I initially achieved was I came out of that victim mentality. Victim mentality means that I used to feel that, oh, this whole world is out there to hurt me. Oh, why are these people being rude to me? Why are they hurting me? Oh, why did Krishna do this to me? Oh, why am I suffering? It's always about me, and then that the whole world is against me. And that's what Krishna teaches us. And when I came out of that, that was a reasonable, verifiable episode for me. It was a verifiable result for me. And I'm just giving my example. You can have something else in your life that will make it well. So that's how the faith building is happening. So Krishna is saying that's what the word faithfully means here. That you practice it, knowing that it will fructify in the future, and you actually see some results coming out. So your faith builds on it. And then Krishna is using the word anasuyanto. Anasuyanto means without envy. So asuya means envy, anasuya means non-envy. Right. And what to be non-envious of? I think we've talked about in the past. The first thing we have to be non-envious of is Krishna himself. The only reason we all are here is because we are envious of Krishna in the first place. That Krishna, why only you get to enjoy? I also should enjoy. But a hand cannot enjoy if separated from the body. The leg cannot enjoy. They all have to cooperate. The hand picks up the food, puts in the mouth, and the stomach absorbs it and then gives energy to everybody. Similarly, when we serve Krishna, we also get nourished automatically. Okay.
So, Prabhuji, I had a question.
Mhm.
So with faith, you said it's reasonable and verifiable.
Mhm.
So with that in mind, are we looking for something when we're, saying we have faith in this and that?
Looking for something? I didn't get you. What do you mean by that?
Like, I mean, so when I say I have faith in Krishna, right? You know, I guess I'm looking to, looking for him to guide me and take me towards him. So that's like looking for something, right?
Looking for guidance? Yes, yes, you're looking for guidance. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to a little bit understand more deeply, to see if that was okay to, when you have faith, you're looking for something.
Yes, yes. You see, it's not a blind belief that we are having. It's not a sentiment we have, right? So faith means that it's an intelligent confidence you are putting in a reliable source. Now, how is that source reliable? Because you met people who told you it's a reliable source. You tried it to some extent and you found some results to it. Your realization has not fully matured, right? So faith means reasoned trust. That's
Uh-huh.
the way you look at faith, right? And why faith is reasonable? Because uh, it whatever it's telling you, it's a credible source, right? It's like, for example, a doctor giving you medicine, you accept it, right? Because it's coming from a credible source. Similarly, what we are getting is coming through a parampara system. It's a tested transmission coming. The teachers are actually living proof of it. We have, like, if you see in the movement, there are people who were drug addicts at one point, and now they are such pure and elevated devotees. So that means the process works for them. So that's all those things build up to the faith. And there is no harm in asking Krishna for it. You should actually ask Krishna, you should actually tell Krishna whatever you are going through. Stand in front of the deities and tell them, oh, Krishna, this is what's happening in my life, this is what's going on. And if you want to ask him, you should ask him. There's no harm in asking.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Where is that going?
Prabhu, can you show me the verse where you have the unsavia? I wanted to just capture it.
Unsavia? Sorry, I didn't get
Yeah.
you.
I think after, we had discussed faith, you had mentioned unsavia.
Anasuyanto. Is that what you said?
Okay. Yeah.
Anasuyanto. Yeah,
I
Anasuyanto means
was looking for it. I couldn't find it in the
without envy.
without envy. Okay.
This is issue question. Now, what am I looking at? Okay. And then, okay, so now this one is about the people on the other end. But those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not follow them to be considered bereft, are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, be fooled and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. So now this is on the other end of the spectrum, right? So uh, earlier was people who are non-envious or faithful can accept it. But then people who are envious, what happens to them? They are considered to be bereft of all knowledge. They are befooled and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. Right? That's what is being referred to here. So this is the opposite end. So it's been going back and forth. That's what Krishna is doing, giving the one aspect and the other. Right. So there's no ambiguity here. They're very clear instructions. If you follow, you get this. If you do not follow, this will happen. Right. So vimudha is the word that Krishna is using here. Vimudhams, which means vimudhams means that it's foolish. Right? That's what it is. Knowledge is fooling them. Mudha is fool. Vimudha means it's kind of a super fool. Vishesha Rupena Mudha. But yes, they have so much knowledge, but they don't know what is the purpose. They have lost the point. So, like for example, there is a story, right, that there were two men. One of them was digging a hole, the other one was filling that hole, and somebody was watching them from far. And when he was seeing that, the person asked them, "Hey, what are you guys doing? I see one of you is making a hole and the other one is filling a hole." Oh, he said, "Oh, we are from the we are planting trees here." He says, "But I don't see you planting trees here." So the person said, "Oh, the person who puts in the seed is on leave today." So they were just doing it, but they lost the point. So having all the knowledge, but then not knowing the purpose. That's what Krishna is referring to here. So it will be ruined in their attempts for perfection. They will be. That's what you're saying, and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. They will be lost in that. So finding faults in something that is good for us or someone who is working for our welfare is a symptom of envy, right? So yes, and price we pay for such an envy is given in this verse. We become bereft of knowledge, we are deluded more and more, and eventually we become ruined. And Prabhupada uses I think he uses a phrase somewhere. Vacant heart, yes, that's something else. So he's saying a disobedient person, however great he may be, is ignorant of his own self and of the Supreme Brahman, Paramatma, and the personality of Godhead due to a vacant heart. Therefore, there is no hope of perfection in his life. So Prabhupada using the phrase vacant heart. So vacant heart does not mean that he has nothing in his heart. It's just that it means it's filled with unwanted things and it's bereft of valuables. So what are we putting in our heart? Is it envy? Is it jealousy? A heart that's get decorated with beautiful qualities is a full one. A heart that is decorated with envy and jealousies is a vacant heart. Okay. 33. 33. 33, I want to I'll pick it up next week. I was just want to see if anybody has any more thoughts or comments. 33, 34, and 35, they're connected. I can discuss this next week. Anything else? Anyone's mind? Oh, okay. So we'll stop and then we'll start again next week. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu.